Ronnie Oneal trial. And let me say this. Well, you know what? I'm gonna let the judge say this. See what the judge says.
Fact that you chose to represent yourself, and I have to tell you, I think in another lifetime you would have been an excellent lawyer. I really think that.
She said, I have to respect the fact that you represented yourself, but in another lifetime, you would have been a lawyer. That's saying a whole lot. One should respect the fact that he was not bad at pretty much explaining, what the facts were. You know what I mean? This is somebody who obviously does not have a law degree. And there have been lawyers who, say if you represent yourself, then you have a fool for a client. And that's simply because if you don't know the law, then the law can hem you up. Even though you know the facts because you were there, and the way the facts are represented by the prosecutor trying to prosecute you, they are going to skew the truth. Hey, good morning, Star. The prosecutors are going to tell a lie. I've been up against prosecutors before, and, one time a prosecutor said something that was completely a lie, 100%, and he did it to try to get me a maximum sentence. And when he said it, I just looked at him like, what are you talking about? Like, no one at the whole, like, the police didn't say that, the witness didn't say that, the person who's making a claim against me never said that. I never did that. I never said that. This prosecutor brought it way out of left field, and they do that because they are trying to over-indict you. Now, Ronnie Oneal, he got for all 7 counts that they had against him, he got charged for all 7 counts. Now, at the end of this, the attorney said, I want you to think about this seriously. She's basically saying, you know what, let me see if I can I'm going to even cut the music off, even though I like this song. I'm going to cut the music off so you can hear this last part and what she says, because it's detrimental to Ronnie's life or death.
The state has to establish, and now you would have a burden of proof with regards to the mitigators, whether they're statutory or non-statutory. You've got to come up with proof by greater weight of the evidence that the mitigators actually apply. And you would have to come up with not just applicable statutory mitigators, but any applicable non-statutory mitigators. And I'm quite confident that your standby counsel would have a much better grasp on what those potential non-statutory mitigators would be. So I want you just to think about it overnight. I don't want you to make a decision right now. I want you to give it some serious consideration. All right? And we're going to reconvene at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll discuss it further, and you can tell me then. But I really want to strongly advise you to go ahead and let counsel represent you in the penalty phase, because the consequences are so serious.
She also told him that this is the most, she said, the crimes that you have been found guilty for are the most severe in any court. So basically she's saying the maximum is going to be allotted to you, or not only going, it can be allotted to you, meaning you can get the death penalty, is what she's saying, because Ronnie Oneal said he did, end the life of, the young lady. And there was a young lady, and I think his daughter and his son was there, but the daughter is also deceased. So they found him guilty on 7 counts. And being that they found him guilty on 7 counts, he's going to be charged on all 7 counts. Now, she's saying that the mitigators, like, I'm not an attorney, she's saying that the mitigators pretty much people who stand in between, other people, people who are able to handle the argument. If somebody mitigates for you, basically they're going to pretty much be in between you and another person and or a jurisdiction, and they're going to be able to tell what is what. And to be able to do that, you have to know the law, and that's what she's telling them. She's going to be like, you need to know what's statutory and what's not statutory. There's time limits, there's age limits, there's uh, um, like when you a lot of time when you hear statutory, you hear that word in concern with um, victims who are underage. So basically, you're saying that there's a time constraint. There's all kind of laws that go into, that define statutory. I'm sorry, my nose is itching, but nonetheless, what I the one. Okay, a lot of people say he shouldn't have, stood up there and went ahead and tried to defend himself. He also called in a witness to actually who was lived across the street to say what he saw happen. He said, "Why would I bring in somebody to say what they saw happen? Like, why would I bring in somebody against me?" And he looked at the prosecutor and was basically saying the prosecutor is saying something that isn't true. And then he admits to what he did. So I don't see the biggest problem with this is even though he was clear in what he was trying to get at, he wasn't clear in what the purpose of what he was saying was trying to get at. You know what I mean? If a lawyer is trying to get you completely off of charges that somebody's bringing against you, that's their purpose. In this case, it wasn't. When I listened to it, it wasn't clear if he was trying to get like saying, I did not do this. I can clearly show you the evidence that I did not do this. And that's the biggest problem I think that, the jury probably had with this, because he stood there and he admitted that he did it. So it was like, are you trying to plead for a lesser sentence? Are you trying to say that you did not commit all the crimes, but you committed the most heinous crime? Because listen, if you willfully walk into your house with a firearm, which is what he did with a firearm, and you willfully commit the heinous crimes that they said he committed, then you have the worst punishment that the court can issue to you. So they can say, and the reason why that is because you in your mind willfully went in to commit this crime. If it was an accident, if somebody walks into your house and then you pick up a firearm, boom, you have all kind of laws that protect you. Say, hey, I did it because of my protection. If you're going to the store and you get into an argument and it ends up that you use a firearm, boom, that is not premeditated. See, what he did, according to the law, they're going to look at it as premeditated, meaning you thought about it first, then you went in and did it. And that's why she's saying you pretty much can get the book thrown at you. And that's pretty much what they're going to do. And if they do that, I don't know what state he's in, but they could go ahead and terminate his life. This is why she's saying you need counsel. Because if you have counsel, then it's a good chance you can live through this, but you will never see, outside of a jail cell again. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he should get counsel. And I'm not on his side. But I also think that if he does live, they allow him to live. And plus, when you go on death row, you could be on it for the longest time. I knew somebody who was on death row. I met him right when he got out. He was like, I just got off death row. And I was afraid of him because he talked like he just got off death row. Then he told me what he did. And I was just like, oh, man, this guy's about to go off, But he wanted somebody to talk to, so he just started talking to me. Real stuff. And I was just like, damn, like I was sitting there like, whoo, it's about to go down. And he just wanted to explain what he did. He didn't know me from anything. He just started talking. And I was like, okay. And I listened to his story. It was very, very interesting. And I sided with him when it was all over because somebody done something to his sister and caused her to die in a very painful way, and he saw it happen. And so when he caught up to the guy, he erased this guy, and pretty much lost his mind. He did what anybody who loves their family member would have done. So I was like, I'm on your side. And eventually, after a lot of years, the court found it the same way. They put him on death row. Then they was just like, no, this is not right. Because if it was my sister, I would do the same thing. Basically, he found a guy that did it. This guy was shopping, kind of like Kroger's or something like that. And when he caught up to him, he emptied the clip on him. You know what I'm saying? And I said, well, why didn't you plead insanity? He said, they said I couldn't plead insanity because I kept pulling the trigger. He was pulling the trigger when the gun was empty. And I was like, well, that sounds like insanity to me. So eventually the court recognized that this guy, he could have got away with temporary insanity, and they let him go. It was some years later, but they let him go. So, but that's not in this case here. This guy's probably going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And if he does, the one good thing can come out of this. One, he could save his soul. Another thing that can come out of this is, two, his son is young. So his son can still come and visit him, because he was able to talk to his son by video prompter. Another thing is this guy is not bad at litigation. He's not bad at all, and even though the judge was sitting there with kind of like a smirk on her face, she had to take him seriously because he was, the evidence is going to show. And even though he didn't know all the law, he took his time. He illustrated exactly what he was trying to say. But like I said, according to what he was saying, he didn't have a purpose. It's like you didn't have a go-to after that. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to convince us that you're not guilty, but then you said you were clearly guilty? And that's when I think things just fell apart for him. And so they convicted him of all the charges. I think if he wouldn't if he did not admit his guilt, then that would have been different. Also, you can throw yourself at the mercy of the court, which I think he should do when it comes to his sentencing trial. I think if he throws himself at the mercy of the court, then there is a good chance that they will not go ahead and terminate him, and then he can do some good for the rest of his life. But that's just what I think about the whole thing. And it's your boy Tone 202. I'll come back and make some music or something later. Peace.